If you want to express your style in an authentic way, what you need to do is you need to focus on what feels good. That ultimately is the secret to authentic style. Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Imprint. I'm very grateful and excited to have you here today. Now we're going to take a look at the topic of the secret to authentic style, because I know that this is something that comes up over and over and over again when I talk to different people. Because let's be honest, we all want to feel good. We want to feel good in our homes and about our lives and about what we're doing. And we really know the answers deep down inside to how we can find and express that truth. But our brains have a way of tricking us. They want us to be safe. They want us to keep doing what's easy or what we've always done. But there's no growth in that. And even worse, it ultimately doesn't feel good. That's why being authentic is everything. It gets overused as a word, but ultimately what it is, it's still the essence of how we want to live, and it really is what creates the best and most impactful work. And that's what we're going to look at, how to be authentic with what you create. Because when you do, you really feel good in your spaces, you really feel connected to them. And when you're using this in your work or your creative practice, that is when you create your best work. Now, before we get into this episode, I want you to press pause, and if you haven't done it already, go and register for my free online workshop that I'm hosting next week. I'm sharing how you can transform your home with confidence without renovating. So for those of you who don't plan to renovate, don't have the budget, or you just want to, feel inspired in your home as it is right now, then you really should come and check out this workshop, because you can come and learn how styling really is the secret to creating beautiful interiors. If you've been wondering why your home or spaces don't look like the ones that you see in your favorite social media feeds, honestly, the secret is styling. And I'm going to be sharing my 5-step process to help you style with more clarity and confidence, and also really help you reconnect with your creativity again. Because if you're listening to this podcast, if you've been listening for a while, you are a creative person. That's why you're here. That's what we talk about each week, in the interviews, in these solo episodes. And, if you're feeling disconnected from your creativity, or that you're in a bit of a rut, or you want more for yourself or for your home, then this workshop is going to be right for you. It's going to be something that will, my goal with it is to really get you to feel inspired again. I know I go through those periods of sort of feeling disconnected from my home or in a little bit of a creative rut. And honestly, you're going to love this workshop. So I want you to think about how that would sound, to be feeling inspired again, inspired about your home, inspired about your creativity, to feel more confident in your spaces and what you're doing. So how does that sound? If you feel like that's a big yes, then you want to make sure that you come and join this workshop. Or maybe you've got a creative business and, you want to create irresistible imagery. The type of imagery that stops your potential customers or clients from scrolling. It doesn't matter if you want to feel more confident styling for business or pleasure. I want you to know that styling really is the magic ingredient to make it possible. And it has nothing to do with having big budgets or making structural changes to your home or your spaces or whatever you're creating. Instead, what it is, it's about knowing what will create the most impact without having to spend a huge amount of money. And it's knowing how to bring all of the elements together cohesively. And most of all, it's really also learning about how to infuse your home and your spaces with your signature style, because that's when you're going to create magic. So if you'd like to learn my 5-step process to styling with clarity and confidence, then make sure you register for this free workshop. You can go and register right now at nataliewalton.com/free workshop. And, if you have been listening to this podcast for a while, I know some of you have listened to right from the beginning, and you're really serious about creating a home that you can love, and you're ready to live the life that you've always wanted. You've kind of got this new chapter ahead of you that you want to explore. Really make sure that you sign up, even press pause and do it right now. Now, you can only get the link to the workshop when you register. And I recommend joining live because I've created a workbook for you that we will go through, and you'll get the chance to ask questions too. It's really going to be so good. I'm very excited about this. So register now at nataliewalton.com/free workshop. That's nataliewalton.com/free workshop. There's also going to be a link in the show notes, so you can go straight there to register, or again, nataliewalton.com/free workshop. And look, spaces are limited and they always fill up very quickly when I do these free workshops. So you want to make sure that you don't miss out because there are limited places. And anyway, I really hope that you can join me. I have people who come to every single workshop that I do. I have past students come to them because there's still, no matter where you're at on your journey, there's such incredible value. And that is always my goal. I want you to leave feeling like you've got something out of this. Like, sometimes it can just be that you feel inspired. Other times it can be some really tangible action steps that you can do. I just want you to sort of fall in love with your home again. And this is a great way to do it. All right, let's get back into today's podcast. And we're going to be taking a look at the secret to authentic style, which really is the key to creating beautiful interiors. And what happens though is people often trip up on this because authentic style, even though, and styling authentically as well, even though they're the key to creating a home that looks and feels good, so often we can hit a roadblock with this. Maybe you really struggle to know what your style is. That is something I hear a lot. Or another thing I hear a lot from students and just people that I chat to about these topics is that, you chop and change a lot with your style. You like lots of different styles. Maybe that's you. Or maybe you really struggle to translate what you think and feel into your spaces. So what do I mean by that? I think that sometimes, we can see a beautiful image, or we can look at other people's homes on social media, or, even visit friends' homes. And we have a strong sense of like what we would like our home to be, but it just doesn't come through when we actually go to, style our spaces, arrange them, create our home, and there's a disconnect there. Now, so many ideas about style can often be a little tokenistic. There's often these kind of like putting two words together, such as like Scandi modern, and while look, I do see that it can help you sometimes to create sort of a guiding phrase, it really doesn't get to the heart of the matter, because the truth is that the secret to authentic style is that there isn't just one. There are actually many secrets, because as I wrote in my book, I used this quote, which I just keep coming back to over and over again. And it's by Jean Cocteau. And he says, style is a simple way of saying complicated things. And this is what I wrote in my book, Style. Style is at the heart of who we are. It's our story in visual form, a physical expression of how we feel. And it's what we choose to prioritize in our homes and lives. So I want you to know that if you want to express your style in an authentic way, what you need to do is you need to focus on what feels good. That ultimately is the secret to authentic style. The problem is that we make it so complicated. So as I mentioned, I will be going over within this free workshop that I'm going to be hosting. One of the the steps that I'm going to be sharing with you is all about how to do this. So if this is something that you would really like to nail and kind of workshop in this workshop, if that makes sense, make sure that you join that. And it's going to be next week. So, but also I have created, for any of you who are interested in this, I've created in my course, the Styling Masterclass, a whole training session on this because I know it's something that people keep struggling with, and it's called Authentic Styling. Learn how to connect with your signature style and create authentic interiors, because you can style copying what someone else does, but it will never feel good for you if you don't style through the filter of your own signature style. Now, we've got a limited time today, so I'm not going to go into that entire training, but I'm going to share some of the ideas from that. And again, like I said, we will also be going through that in the this free workshop that I've got coming up next week. So what happens is that we often, when it comes to styling and sort of trying to connect with our style, we often copy what other people do because it feels safe. Or maybe for you, you're drowning in inspiration and you're lost in choices, like you've got a million images saved from Pinterest or Instagram. Maybe for those of you who are a little bit more old school, maybe you've still got a million magazine tear sheets, and you've just got all this imagery, but you can't distill it into what feels good for you or what feels right for you and your home. Or maybe you just really struggle to make decisions. You have options, but you can't then make a decision that helps you move forward with your style. Now, what I want you to know is that when you know and understand your signature style, you then gain more confidence and you're not making choices out of fear. And when you have clarity about your style and your vision, you really simplify the decision-making process. And when you learn to manage your mind and do the work that I so often talk about, you move from knowledge to knowing. Now, I just want to share how this has showed up for me in my life in relation to like my own personal style and when I wasn't really living into it, when it wasn't authentically me, when it didn't really express the heart of who I was. And I shared this in a recent episode about how when I first started to style for magazines, I was really in the deep end because I was on these photo shoots and there was a big budget involved and I had to get it right. And so I would look at what other stylists were doing to get ideas, to get inspiration. And I really became too influenced by what they were doing. And so my style at that point really was, if I want to be unkind to myself, it was a poor imitation. And, but I think that's probably being a bit too unkind. That certainly wasn't what my intention was. And I do think it had I can still see it. I can still see my signature style in there, but it was a little bit buried in other people's styles because I can actually look back to my very first photo shoot and there are definitely elements in that shoot that still feel like me. And it still feels, like the heart of who I was, it was in that space, but it just became cluttered and clouded with the inspiration that I was getting from other people. That's probably a fairer way to say it. But what happened was that, after I'd been styling for a little while, but I was still very much in the infancy of styling, I really wanted to do a book because that had been something that was always a passion for me, was to create a book. And again, it was probably about like the first time that I tried to do it, it was at least 10 years ago, if not longer. And I remember I went in to meet with the photographer, Chris Warnes, and we did a photo shoot with a couple of different people. And one of them was actually a stylist that I really respected at the time and had huge admiration for. And I can really see that when I created this book proposal, and even just with the graphics and the way that I kind of presented it, it really was me being too much influenced by other people. And I wasn't expressing really who I was in that book proposal. And ultimately, I didn't get a book deal out of that. And it was only later on that, I just kept on styling and became more and more confident and stopped looking at what other people were doing and really got more in tune with my own signature style, that then I created the next book proposal completely from scratch. I started all over again. And that book proposal that I created was for This Is Home. And there is a shoot in that book, the home of Virginie from Mama Papa, who very graciously allowed us to sort of shoot her home, for the proposal, not guaranteed that I would get the book deal. And it's in the book, and that book still is to this day, like in the top 10 on Amazon for interior books. Sometimes it's at number 3, sometimes it's at number 2, sometimes it's at number 6, whatever, like it fluctuates because it's based on, live sales. But it's still, and it's like 5 years since that book was published. So by the time this episode goes live, it will have been 5 years since it was published, which is incredible to think that it is still, really resonating with people. And I feel like for me, that book was when I really stepped into my signature style. And so I'm sharing the lessons and the reflections that I've had on, like, how did I get so in tune with it? Because when you do, honestly, it's like you can create so much more confidently and quicker, and you're not second guessing yourself. And it's such a good feeling. And so I really believe, if I was to distill it down to a single secret, is that the secret to authentic style is to really focus on what feels good for you. And that's that's the important part for you, because we can so easily be looking at what it is for other people. And, there are people out there that I know that, and I do too, the work of Athena Calderon. And, she is amazing with what she creates. And I see so many people imitating that look. But, it's never going to cut through. It's never going to feel right if you're just doing what she does. You've got to do what's right for you. So, and of course, we make it so complicated because, like I said, you've got to work on what feels good for you, but we make it feel complicated in other ways. So I'm going to now share 3 ways that you can really connect more with your signature style. And I think that these are, ideas that have come on, upon reflection of my own journey and the lessons that I've learned, what I've learned through interviewing hundreds of people over the years, hundreds upon hundreds of people, and, being into so many different homes, meeting so many different people. And really, I know without a doubt when I step into a home, if somebody is expressing their own authentic signature style in their space. And I can tell instantly how confident they are about themselves, how confident they are about their style, because it just, to me, I've been in enough homes to know when it is really coming from that authentic place. So the first idea I want to share with you is that you need to choose courage. So what do I mean by this? You need to really connect to your spaces, to your ideas, to what you want from the heart. And when you're creating a vision for yourself, for your spaces, you really need to connect with what feels good for you. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to, of course, gather images and all of that. But then you need to really sort of study those images and really try and understand, like, what is it about this image that ignites something within me, and really connect with that. Because the more that you do that and the more you get in tune with that, then the more confident you will feel about what it is that ignites that feeling in you to be inspired. And then you can harness that and take it out and then turn that into the way that you approach your spaces. So I hope that makes sense. I know it seems a little bit conceptual, but you really need to choose courage and create from the heart and really connect to your feelings about spaces, about what you love, and filter through that. The second idea that I want to share with you is that you really need to make a commitment to your signature style. So the more that you choose courage and the more you connect with your spaces and the more you have a better understanding of what it is that you love about a particular space, because it's really quite nuanced. You know, we tend to think in like these broad sweeping terms, but it's actually so much more nuanced than that. For example, at the moment, I'm in my studio and I'm just looking at some cushions. And I mean, you can get cushions that are shiny. You can get cushions that are linen and they're really knobbly. You can get linen that is a bit more smooth. You can get linen that is like really quite rough. You know, even those little tiny little details, like the differences and the nuances between different fabrics and materials and how you feel about those, the more you understand like what it is that you like about a particular material and like the plumpness of it or how stiff it looks. Like for me, I just cannot stand karate chopping pillows. I just don't like that look. I just feel that it looks very forced. It looks very formal. It looks very stuffy. And so for me, I don't connect with that. But for you, you might love that. And you might think it just looks so plump and it just looks, I don't know, whatever it is for you. And you might really respond to that. Whereas I love cushions that feel squished. And I mean, I can't tell you how many shots in my books. You could probably go through, and if you've got my books, look through them and notice like how I style cushions. Like I always just give them a little push. Like I just squish them a little bit. I don't chop them. I don't want them to look plump. I want them to feel like they're lived in and they look inviting. And, you know, it's just something as simple as that really can get down to the essence of like, how do you want to feel in your spaces? How do you want your spaces to feel to you as you see them? What response do you want to have from them? So you really need to connect with that. And so, as I said, another way is to really commit then to your signature style. And there's three key ways that you can do that. So this is through your story, and you can really get in tune with this in terms of, you know, what is the journey that you've been on? What are the homes that you've loved? What are the places that you've stayed on holiday that you've just, you know, when you walk into those like Airbnbs or you go on holiday and you step into those spaces and you think, oh my gosh, I feel so alive. I feel so excited to be here. I am just in this moment right now. I'm so happy. I hate the word happy, but so content. And I just feel such joy and like, oh, I just feel like all the feelings when you step inside a place. You need to really connect with what is it? Like, what is it about those spaces that makes you feel that way? Because it's going to be different for all of us. And that's why it's really dangerous to kind of take these sweeping statements to style and say Scandi modern. Like, what does Scandi modern even mean? Like, how can you have a feeling about that? Instead, you need to really find the nuances of it that really make you feel connected. And so really also connecting to your feelings, as I've mentioned, and what you value as well, what you value in a space in terms of the design, the style, the craftsmanship, whatever it is for you. I mean, some of you would really value color and it makes you feel vibrant and it makes you alive and it makes you feel excited. And others of you, like me, will think, you know, I just want to feel subdued and calm. And sometimes it's a reflection of what's going on in your life in a particular season in your life. I know for me, I've got a very busy life, so I don't want my spaces to feel busy. The busier my life is, the more simple I want my spaces. So you've got to tap into that for you. And in my course, the Styling Masterclass, I've actually got a formula for the signature style to really work through a whole series of questions to help you really understand your connection to these three different ideas, your story, feelings, and values, and how you can cultivate that, how you can connect with it, and how you can then translate that into your signature style. Because when you can commit to your signature style, you will really help simplify decision making. As I said, it just gets easier and easier. The more clear you are on your signature style, the easier it becomes. The third idea that I want to share with you is that you must create with conviction. And what I mean by this is when you get more in tune with your signature style through those three elements that I spoke about, and you choose with courage, then you really need to create with conviction. And so what I mean is that when you're creating with a space, stop second guessing yourself. Go with that feeling that you want to create. Keep connecting with that, and just be super focused on that. I know myself, I'll just give you a little example. When I am styling something, and like when I was styling my book Style, and I've spoken before about how I really tried to push myself on those shoots to create my best work. And when I was styling those spaces, I just kept coming back to, I want this to be like a work of art. I want it to be incredibly elevated, the spaces. I want them to feel really elevated, like a high example of what is possible with styling, how it can make you feel, how you can elevate your spaces. And I just kept focused on that idea and that concept and that vision. And that really helped me create with conviction, because I wasn't second guessing myself. I was just really focused on that process of creating elevated interiors that were just at that next level. I really wanted to style at that next level. So I've got this method called the infusion styling method that, again, I've got this in my course, the Styling Masterclass. But just to give you a little taste of what's involved, it's really about how you can infuse your signature style into your spaces, because that's what you want to do. Is you want to take, once you've got a better understanding of your signature style, what is unique to you, what feels good for you, what embodies your journey, your feelings, and your values. You want to then invest that into some of the different areas of your spaces, such as your palette and your materials and your texture. So I hope you can see how this then starts to unfold in your spaces. So I want you to think, what if you could really connect in a better way to your signature style? If you could feel more confident with your signature style, how would that show up in your spaces? How would that make you feel about your creativity? How would that increase your confidence overall? And how it would also give you such clarity, because as I said, when you could commit to your signature style, it really starts to then simplify the decision-making process. I always stumble on that word. Anyway, so let's just take a quick review of the secret to authentic style, which is really focusing on what feels good for you, and that you really need to choose courage. And by that, I mean that you really need to, stop looking out there at what everyone else is doing and really connect with what feels right for you and what feels like your truth. You need to then make a commitment to your signature style. And again, this really is about understanding your signature style in terms of your story, your feelings, and your values. And then thirdly is to create with conviction. And that is when you really are focused on what is most important for you. As I said, it keeps coming back to you. And, that's the essence of authenticity, isn't it? It's being true to you. And so if you're trying to create authentic interiors, it's about creating interiors that are true to you, that feel good for you. So I hope that you have found this valuable, this episode, and that you've got something out of it that has really helped you maybe rethink the way that you think about creating your spaces, or maybe it helps you identify maybe a stumbling block that you've got in connection with your approach to creating in a more authentic way. Whatever the reason or the way, I hope that it's given you a little bit more clarity, a bit more insight, a little bit more motivation and inspiration to really explore your signature style in a way that feels good for you. So as I said, I really believe that authentic style and styling in an authentic way is the key to creating a home that looks and feels good. And as I said, if you really want to go deeper in these ideas, then I really encourage you to come and join my free workshop that I will be teaching next week. I'm really looking forward to sharing some ideas to really help you connect and feel more confident with your creativity, with styling. And you can go and register at nataliewalton.com/free workshop. So I really look forward to going even deeper on this idea for those of you who really want to get this right and want to feel more confident creating your spaces. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you've got some value out of this episode. I really appreciate when you join me. Always, my DMs are open. Send me a message. Love hearing from you. Take a screenshot. If you've got any value out of this, then I'd really appreciate if you could write a review. I don't do any advertising on this podcast. My only hope is that I can help you on your journey, because I remember when I was at the very beginning of my creative journey, I didn't even know which way to turn. I didn't know what to do. I was completely lacking in confidence. And I just, in many ways, I'm kind of helping my former self. So if any of you who are at that point, I hope that this podcast is helpful for you. Really appreciate you joining me. And I hope that you have a beautiful week and that I see you in the class. So please register, details in the show notes, and look forward to seeing you there. Thanks, everyone. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.